2015, I started my MFA in illustration practice at MICA, Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. I was a Fulbright student. Most of the first semester, my work was awful. By the end of the first semester, we had this assignment where we had to create 25 copies of an art piece and try to sell them at MICA's annual art market. Typically, the more art you sold, the more successful you were. Before I even had the chance to think about what I want to make, my professor sat down with me and told me, you know what, Edon, I know you've been working in advertising for 15 years. I know you can sell stuff. I want you to make something that does not sell. The reason behind this was that she wanted me to try and work with new techniques and new tools so that I get out of my comfort zone. I accepted the challenge, of course, and here's two things that you need to know about me. One, my entire career, my art was digital. It was on screen. And then second, I'm an Albanian man from Kosovo. My peers used to refer to me as the most straight guy they've ever seen. So I decided to design and make a carousel toy with pink and baby blue horses. My peers found it hilarious, so did my professor. We all knew that I wasn't going to make it, but the point of this assignment for me, it was not to sell art, but more to just experiment. First week in, and I was so obsessed designing this carousel, and it wasn't just a regular carousel, it was a revolving carousel with a crank. We had a full month to design, to create 25 pieces that we were going to sell at the art market, and I took a month and a half within this month because I wasn't sleeping every other night. My beard grew out of control, and when I don't sleep, my face organs get independent. They start walking separate ways. I was mistaken for a homeless person 5 times during that month. Bright side, I got free food at McDonald's. MICA's 3 days art market came, and I missed the deadline. I was only able to deliver these carousel toys on the 3rd day, and they basically sold out in 1 day. I guess you can say that I failed the assignment. After this experience, I got so much into designing and creating mechanical devices and toys, also known as automata, that everyone around knew about it. One of my friends approached me and asked me if I had seen the movie Hugo. Now, if you haven't seen the movie Hugo, you totally have to. It's a great movie. It won 4 Oscars. And it features this humanoid toy proto-robot that doesn't work on electricity. It's all mechanical. I was amazed by it. And when I learned that it wasn't just this character was science fiction, but it was based on a true device. These devices used to exist in 17 and 1800s. My carousel only had 2 gears that interacted, and this device had probably over 1,000. Then the time came that we had to present 10 ideas that would potentially become our thesis projects. I presented 9 ideas, and I didn't have a 10th idea. I just brought in a poster of the movie Hugo because I just wanted to talk with my professor about it. She absolutely ignored my 9 ideas and told me, you know what, I think you should build a writing automaton. And it was the same professor who told me to make something that doesn't sell at the art market. I had a feeling that she just wanted to kick me out of the program. So I said, challenge accepted. It's great. Thank you. So because I was studying illustration, my automaton needed to have a background story. So being an Albanian, I thought, I'm going to make this automaton an Albanian automaton. So it's going to write something in Albanian. And to make it more authentic, I was going to go back to the Albanian literature of 1800s. And the first thing that came to my mind was the first ever alphabet book by Naum Brede, Evetar, in 1844. So I thought, here's how the process of me making this thesis project is going to go. I'm going to go online, search for Evetar, pick a line from it, and then spend my entire year working, designing and making this machine that's going to write that line. Here's how it went. I went online and searched for Evetar, and all that was popping up were some small scans, low quality, of these strange-looking letters that I had never seen before. And this information that Naum designed a unique alphabet to write the first alphabet book ever in Albanian kept recurring. And I kept getting more intrigued, so I reached out to some linguists and said, what's the deal with this unique alphabet? And they said, well, it's actually true. He did design a unique alphabet that Albanian was going to be written with, but those letters are long lost, and don't bother. If you just need a line from the book, there's a transcribed version of it. I was so disappointed. That day, a part of my artistic soul died. So I reached out to the Museum of Education in Korça, Albania, and I told them about my thesis project and how I was interested in Avatar, and the director of the museum replied to me and said, I have a private copy of Avatar. Do you want me to send you a scan? And I have a very good sense of sarcasm, so I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. And I said, sure. He sent me a PDF. I opened it and burst into tears. It was this moment when I knew that my thesis project has changed. Not that I was going to ditch my automaton. Of course I was going to work in some hyper-complex mechanism in 1 year, but I was also going to add this very challenging typography project on top of it. My idea was to digitize the original letters of Naum and also design 16 fonts that would comply with today's technology and that people would be able to use them today. And also design and make an automaton that will write in this alphabet. I was working day and night. I was so tired that sleep and regular meals became an abstract concept for me. I went from being Christian Bale Batman to Christian Bale the Machinist. By the time that my thesis show came, of course I missed the deadline, I wasn't prepared for it, but I did have half of the automaton and a wall with very simplified version of Naum's letters while keeping their identity. One of the guests that came to my show was the ambassador, Kosovo's ambassador to the US. She posted about it, and her post was viewed by over 100,000 people, and that's when the news took off. In the meantime, because I was so obsessed designing and making automata, I was offered the job to teach kinetic illustration and prototyping at MICA. So at a faculty picnic, I approached the president of the school and told him about my alphabet project, and he thought that more people should hear about it. In just a couple of months, the revival of the Albanian alphabet of Avatar was featured by some of the most famous design magazines in the US and worldwide. Thank you. And Fulbright was posting about it too. In Kosovo and Albania, it became a very popular story in 2017. An Irish alphabets expert reached out and said, I saw this article about your work on this UK magazine and realized that you made a few mistakes. But luckily, by that time, no tattoos had any mistakes on them. And it's really incredible how everything played out. If you take one link from this entire story, if you take one link out, or one event out, or one person out, you'll realize that there's a risk that the alphabet of Avatar, which is a great cultural gem that we have, would still be hibernating in silence. And my life has changed because 200 years ago, this great scholar and patriot had this idea worth spreading. Thank you.